episode of Happy Earth Market. I'm Nathan.
I'm Sam. I'm Sadie.
I'm De'Aaron.
And I'm Vichelle.
I'm Vichelle. So we were just talking about some super racially divisive and inclusive issues, and then the shooting came up, and compassion for humanity came up, and so we just decided to throw the phone on and do an impromptu podcast. So welcome to the show, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
How y'all doing?
Happy Earth Market podcast.
Yes.
First of all, let's introduce. Where are you? Who are you?
I'm De'Aaron. I'm idfx.media. Kind of my thing is perpetuate the positive, going beyond what it is that I do as a videographer, but my way of living for me is perpetuate the positive.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we all are unique and we're all gifted with unique talents and unique skills, and that we should use those gifts and talents, exercise those gifts and talents by building each other up.
Michelle, where are you from? What organization do you represent?
Hi, I'm Vichelle, and I'm the National Director of All Shades United. I'm a Chicagoan that has been residing in Vegas it'll be 7 years, March 7th. I am an artist as well as a writer, singer-songwriter.
Nice.
And I enjoy everything.
Yeah.
She's a great singer.
She's a great singer, yeah.
By the way.
I gotta listen to that.
Especially when she comes out of, she has two voices. She has her whisper voice, but when she gets comfortable with the crowd, she has this loud, great
Oh,
voice.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, she
Open
didn't
mic,
share that
man.
part with me.
Open mic, she takes up the whole floor space
Yeah,
too. She moves.
yeah,
and
she moves.
dances.
This is like her whole
She's a
story right
beautiful
here.
spirit in this place, man. I love it.
Tell about Sadie's part when I do open mic.
Oh, shut up.
What's Sadie's part?
No,
I wanna
I
hear
just try
that.
to make her smile, make
Yeah,
her laugh.
yeah,
If I
yeah.
give her a
Just
straight
give me
face, she
eye
can't.
contact.
She
No,
can't handle.
no way,
She can't
I
handle.
handle
She'll blush.
Oh, it's just
I always wonder why you're always laughing.
Okay, look at Sadie.
So, 17
God.
kids were murdered again yesterday,
Wow, that's a
In
tragedy.
Florida.
and I get on Facebook this morning just to do my normal Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the work I do in the morning and emails, and I realize again, no compassion. There's no love for the shooter's family. There's no love for the families. All it is people just screaming about policy. There's no policy that's going to fix this. Nothing. The only thing that's going to fix this is if we sit around tables like this and decide that we're going to be compassionate to our neighbors, and we're not going to run our house and turn the box on at night. We're going to barbecue and have, you know what I mean? It's not going to fix with legislation.
No, and legislation, as I was saying earlier today, actually with somebody, that it doesn't matter what laws get put on the table, because deals have already been made with people who are being controlled by corporations. So it doesn't matter. The bills just keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and so nothing ever changes. So bills aren't the answer. The answer really is paying attention, giving a shit about each other, and really listening to one another and going, what's wrong? Why are you suffering? Because the bottom line is these people that cause the most suffering on us and animals and everything else, these are the people who suffer the greatest. Because people aren't born. I refuse to believe that argument from people too, that people are born evil. Bullshit.
Root programming. I call it root programming.
People are products of their environment.
But
They are products of their environment.
Root programming from the time that they're little, time they grow up.
Yes.
We're products of society.
And sometimes you're not programmed at all. Sometimes you're completely left at your own. And that's what the majority of these people's problem is they are so neglected. They have nobody to say, hey, I'm listening to you.
get a hug.
You're sitting there talking to me, and I'm listening to you. I'm looking at you in your eye. I'm holding you. There's nobody in these people's lives that are doing that for them. So, of course, some of them are going to snap. And they will grab dad's gun or grandma's gun or neighbor's gun or whatever, or drive their car or whatever the circumstance is, and they will cause suffering on another human. And it starts with bullying at school. You look at these kids that are getting bullied like crazy at school. They come into the store all the time, and it breaks my heart because I'm looking at them like, the one kid, as a matter of fact, came in here. His mom didn't even know he's being bullied. I got it out of him in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
But again,
I'm sorry, and that's what's wrong with our society because the parents don't give a shit about their fucking kids. And I'm sorry for any parents out there that take offense to this, but it's the truth.
But if you take offense, you
If
probably
you
don't care about
really,
kids.
if you really cared, if you really cared about your fucking kids, you would care about what your kids are doing and who they're talking to and what they're feeling without causing judgment on them and saying, no, you can't feel that way. You can't be that way. You can't do it that way. That's not supportive. That's not love. And it's not what parents should be doing for their kids. If they did it the right way and showed compassion and love to their own children, these children grow up to be the same kind of people that they were taught to be. Loving, compassionate people.
Like begets like.
Absolutely.
And I get really heated on this conversation because it truly, everything that's wrong with our society starts at home. Everything.
Yeah, of course. I call it root programming. So from the time that you're born, when your mother, I mean, right there when you come out of the birth canal and the mother's holding you and the father's present and, you know, they're giving you that love and support, babies sense that. They hear everything in the womb. It all starts when they're in the womb and they're developing in the womb. And then when they come out of the birth canal and you're holding them, you're embracing them, you're showing them that love. And you continue to do that throughout their lives, especially the formative years, you know, up to 4 or 5 years old. And you show them that love and compassion. You show them what reasonable love is and, you know, what true parental love is. And they learn that and they perpetuate that as they grow older. And they learn how to socialize. They know when they're being bullied. But I think a lot of times, I was bullied as a kid. I remember I was like 10 or 11 years old. I was living with my dad. I went to Walt Disney Elementary in California. My brother and I were walking home from school, which is like 3 blocks. And I'm at the light waiting to cross, and this kid comes up to me and just punches me in the gut.
Oh, wow.
Just punches me in the gut.
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah. And just, you know, so, you know, and so as I got older, a couple years later, you know, I'm in high school, and now I kind of pick up the mentality, and I'm with gangs, and I'm doing the gang thing now, and I'm doing the same senseless acts this guy was doing to me. And then I realized, and it just took, I think I shared this already, but it just took a classmate to tell me, just a tap on the shoulder. All she said is, "You have potential." And once she said that, my whole life changed.
Wow.
I got out of the gangs. I straightened up my life. I straightened up in school. I was more attentive in school. I really applied myself because at first I didn't know what I got potential meant, or you got potential. I didn't know what that meant.
It was enough to push you, though. That's
all it took. It didn't take yelling. It didn't take
It's just
push
compassion
my nose.
and belief. It's just
Yeah,
compassion
exactly.
and belief in another human being, and that's the
that's the
bottom
point I'm
line,
trying to
man.
illustrate. She
Yeah.
showed me compassion. A simple tap on the shoulder, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes that's all it takes is just lend an ear. It doesn't take too much.
That's it.
You know,
No. Listen
give
to
a
another
hug.
person's story. Give a hug.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you just plant a seed, and then maybe they open up to somebody else. But open up.
We have the Happy Earth Market, and as you can tell, there's a lot of weird around here. And people come up with some crazy ideas, but there hasn't been an idea where we've told anybody yet, no, not that one. You know what I mean? We try to foster everybody's idea as much as possible. You know what I mean? That way, because, you know, nobody does that. There's not anybody in the world.
I think the idea for crazy, I think it's a society thing, because I don't think there's any such thing as crazy. I think we're all self-expressive. We have a free will, because our free will doesn't match your box of society. It doesn't make us crazy. It doesn't make us different.
We're
all
talking about
unique.
that last night.
But I think everybody in this world is unique. And I think some people are just so kind of caught up in that box mentality. They don't know their true creative self.
Nope.
They don't know the true creative self. And so when they see something that's creative, that's weird.
But once you spark the creativity, dude, it really is fire inside your brain.
This is the place.
It takes over. It takes over inside your brain. You're just like, oh, I want to create all the time. I'm doing. Oh, really? I'm outside raking. I'm gonna make a rake pro.
And not as a plug. And not as a plug for Happy Earth, but I sense that with Happy Earth. I haven't known you guys very long, but Happy Earth, I truly feel, is a place that fosters that idea of just kind of uniqueness, free will, free expression.
It has to exist.
Be yourself. You don't have to come in with a narrow-mindedness. You know, and learn from each other and just kind of.
No, every opinion's valid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was actually this morning in the mirror. It's funny. This morning in the mirror, I went, power to the people. Like this, right? I did. I totally did. And then I turned right around with the next hand and I said, compassion to the people. You can't have one without the other, man. You know what I mean? And it came to me this morning, and you were there with me, Vichelle, in the bathroom, in the mirror. Yeah, but I was totally thinking.
But Vichelle, what you're doing with your project is kind of like dealing with bullies, almost like. I mean, at a larger scale, more.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Big scale.
I wanted to tap back into the school issue right quick and the children thing. So my theory on that is, I think to a certain extent it begins at home, but then you have to consider home. What's home? You know, what's happening in the home?
Absolutely.
How are those parents parented?
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's a cycle
It's a
that
generation.
just continues.
Totally.
So I was at a meeting a couple of months ago with people who were complaining about there were a bunch of teachers and a lot of different people that have like community little centers for children, and they were saying that they don't really have the energy from the kids. They feel like it's the parents and the parents is almost like it was a parent bashing session.
Absolutely.
And me being a product of a single mother, it's like cycles for us as
Sure.
well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was by choice, you know, for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we came out really well to me, you know, in my mind. But the thing that got me at this meeting was everybody kept talking about what are the parents. So I made a statement, a question as to say, well, is anybody talking to the parents? Does anybody bother
Nobody
to talk to
does.
these
They don't
parents?
give a shit.
Nobody. So my thing is this: before we start pointing fingers as to what's happening in the home, let's try to talk to these parents because that's important. A lot of them don't have a support system.
Right.
Oh,
Like I
none.
can say, my grandmother basically was there in the house with us. My mother, to me, had that like a helpmate, you know. And that's why my sister and I were able to have some of the best of everything, you know. We don't put ourselves in the category of low income because we were never treated like that. In the neighborhood I grew up at, people still to this day refer to us and our families as bougie. The neighborhoods we grew up in, everybody
Bougie.
owned. Yeah,
What is that?
It's like uppity.
Oh.
Stuck uppity.
Oh, okay.
Because of the way you guys carried yourself with some
Yeah,
pride.
but that's
so
the way we
consider-
were
Okay.
instilled.
Yeah.
And everybody basically in this whole community, the parents own their properties.
Right.
So we came from those kind of environments.
Right.
And I remember my mom being with a group of parents on a regular basis. So not just the PTA, because PTA is basically school, but they were outside of the school. They had a parent group.
So they went above and beyond.
Yeah, and
Right.
so we don't see that existing anymore. So when I mention that, and a lot of times I have to watch what I say when I say things, because most of the time when I mention something, it becomes my project. And I was
Yeah,
on
It
this
sounds like
real-
we're warming up to that.
You know? And it's
I'll
like,
come up with an idea right now as we sit
and
here.
I don't have no problem with it. When you put that on me, you know, if it's something I can do that doesn't take me away from everything else I'm trying to do, I'll do it, you know. Basically, because this is what we call the year of collaborations, I'm with it. So what I did, the group that we collaborate with called Jackson Street Movement, they were going to different grammar schools. Like most of them went to middle schools, you know, and the grammar schools they attended as children to give back. So basically, when they were complaining about these kids, that's when I mentioned about the parents, and they said, well, would anybody be willing to go talk to the parents? Crickets.
Right.
You ever
I'll
seen?
do it. And he's like, okay, cool. So now I sit down and I'll do a rough draft, like an outline of what, you know, I would ask the parents or whatever. So I call the president and I'm like, well, let's get together so that we can, you know, get this format and make sure we're on one accord. He says, no, you do that. I'm putting that on you. I'm like,
What?
no, that's not what I wanted. But what I did like was when we went to the school, it was maybe 30 parents. We happened to go on the day that they were celebrating something for the parents.
Oh,
like,
you got lucky.
they had some type of
So you had to capture the
program,
audience.
and they were like so many weeks. I can't remember, it was a 6 to 8 week program.
Okay.
And this was like the completion of it.
Oh, so they're celebrating the
and
finish.
and it was a lot of men, a lot
Okay.
of daddies. So I was
That's
really
a good
impressed with that too,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a chance to kind of get a feel of what the parents go through and what they need to be better parents and what, you know, support groups they can, you know, get involved. So I named the project Community Connect because we're doing a project within All Shades also called Bridge the Gap, where we're bridging the gap between ages, you know, like the new school, old school, the younger generations.
Yep.
And even with the ethnicities, bridging those gaps. So that's basically like our old, you know, like a global thing we're doing. So with the Community Connect, it falls into that Bridge the Gap program. So we have like a list of different projects we're going to be doing with the parents and activities and just to get their inputs. Most of it is going to be coming from them. So I'm not going to sit down and just say, well, you're going to do this. You're going to. What would you like to do?
Right.
Is this
What are
here in
your
Vegas?
Yes.
What are your needs?
What are your
needs?
needs? You know,
Yeah.
I think a large part of the problem with the American home, especially the American home in the city, is that both parents are required to work. Period.
Yeah. So
You know what I
nobody's
mean?
at home
So they
to
can
take care of
afford.
the
So
kids.
nobody's
She kinda said
nobody's raising the
And
child. You
that's
know
the
what I mean?
problem. And Nicole, we had a sister circle, and we were all speaking about different things about the youth and everything, and I mentioned the Bridge the Gap to them. And Nicole was saying that she works with a lot of youth, and she said basically she asked them what's going on in the home, why do you feel like this? And they said that very
Nobody's
same
home.
thing. Nobody's home. We're
Yeah.
raising ourselves. We're learning from Google. We're learning from
Right.
YouTube,
Yep.
which is bad.
I never saw my
Or is
parents.
it? Or is it?
It
Because
absolutely is.
wait,
It's
let me answer that,
Let
because
introduce the argument.
I'm just saying okay, it's kind of like you live in a neighborhood,
Mhm.
and I lived in a neighborhood, and there's writing on the walls, there's trash in the street. Why is that neighborhood? Why is that one particular neighborhood like that? It's the very same people that live in that neighborhood that do that.
Mhm.
So what I'm getting at is, do you change the people? I mean, no matter what kind of program you put in place, do you educate them? Hey, don't live in your own neighborhood. Hey, stop tagging your own walls and destroying your own neighborhood. Your parents are working hard to even have that neighborhood,
Mhm.
and you're destroying it. So going to the Google thing is, or even the YouTube thing is, there's a platform that's available, and it's whatever you want to make it. You can make it a bad thing, or you can make it a good thing. If all they have is YouTube, then you have the material, you have the content to put on there, then put it on there. At least they have something, so if they're on there, they have better choices.
But then you said the key word, which is educate. A lot of them are not educated on what's good and what's bad
That's
social
right.
media.
That's right.
That's what the
why I
YouTube
said it's
platforms.
bad.
Yeah.
Because the mindset of most of the youth is not going to gear them towards something good. And because of the way society is set up, the bad outweighs the good in
That's right.
everything.
Plus, the bad's really
So,
fun. Let's not
and let's not disregard that.
Let's not-
Yeah,
I mean,
world
'cause-
star, right?
But it's
And we-
like,
when I-
sex, drugs, and
I was
rock
a
and roll.
troublemaker
You know
in
what I'm
school,
saying?
yeah.
So that's what we
Maybe
watch
just the first one.
evolve, throughout the years.
Well, and
And social media, which I agree is a good outlet in some situations, I don't agree that a child that's not being raised properly, with both parents not being there available,
Mhm.
I don't think that that's good for them.
no.
Well, I'm not
If
saying that
they're
I'm not saying it's the be all solution. I'm just saying if they already have that available to them, then that's a resource. But you can
Well,
also
how do you manage that? Though? I mean, it's a completely unrealistic thing you're injecting here.
you start with the first step. Start with the
What
first
is
step.
the first step? So let's look at the first step. The first
I was
step would be-
mentoring kids in my neighborhood. I would literally walk my old neighborhood, and I would, I'd catch somebody tagging. Hey, are you tagging?
Okay, so what you're saying is there needs to be an actual human being who is going into that neighborhood to actually do the work.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's
Well, then that's different than social media and internet.
Well, I'm saying that if you have to put good seeds where there are bad seeds. If you think there's bad seeds on YouTube, then plant your good seeds on YouTube so they have choices. I'm not saying totally down it
What's
because you're just going to get
make them
resistance.
choose that
Right,
choice?
because their friends are on
That's
Facebook.
what-
They don't
that's up
have
to
that
you.
guidance. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
not up to you.
It's
That's
no,
up to
it's not a
that's up to the
structure.
kid they were trying to help.
With you going hands on, saying why you tagging, that's different than them sitting here with a phone or internet access
And just
with
click and
no
share.
guidance, no
Right.
structure.
And I agree with you. I think key is having adult guidance. I agree with that. But what I'm saying to you is if all they have is their cell phone and they're using that to get their
So
input
maybe
or
we
their
just censor it and only put good shit on there like they do.
That's
in
not what he's
Korea.
saying.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
he's saying
I'm saying
we
Well, I
need
mean,
to
that's the
creative.
only way you can control it, though. If you really want to enact change in people,
I don't think it's about
you can't give
control.
them the choice to look at
I
good
think
or
it's about-
bad because they're going to pick whatever's fun and fad.
Why can't you make good, fun, and fast?
Well, we're trying, right?
Exactly.
But-
That's what I'm
But
saying.
when you
We're trying.
when you have equally on the other side bad,
Mhm.
it's equal.
But as long as we continue to, it's okay to identify and acknowledge that there is bad in the world. But it's another thing to continue to perpetuate that energy, and that's where I go to perpetuate the positive. We already know there's negative in the world. What's the point of talking about it? We're going to be here forever talking about all the negative in the world. Let's talk about the goodness in the world. Let's talk about the goodness that you have to offer, that Nathan has to offer, Vichelle, Sady that has to offer. Let's talk about the goodness that we have to offer, and let's start planting seeds.
I
It
agree.
starts with one seed. We can sit here and bash this and bash that, but what do they say? We're either the solution or the problem, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
It takes
Take-
human beings, though, is all I'm saying. I know.
and I agree with you.
I think
I agree with
what
you.
you're saying is great in theory, but I don't think it's realistic
It's
because
not be all.
it's going to be an equal thing, and it really does start with fixing the problem at home. Again, I go back to the family unit.
I agree. So how do you
If-
fix that?
How do we fix that?
Right.
you go around like you did to those kids and you ask questions.
No.
You make yourself available to be involved.
Sam goes over there and she recognizes this bully kid. Hey, I'd like to meet your parents someday. How are they doing? How your parents? You guys need a hand with anything? Nail in the wall, or help you go shopping. Need a ride somewhere. Need to ride to church. Something.
You get involved.
Get involved.
Interaction.
And it's a seed. It doesn't have to be an hour. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's just a word. Maybe it's just a tap on the shoulder. You got potential. Maybe it's just that.
Yeah.
But you have to plant seeds.
But seeds don't.
So let's go back to the seed of the
help the problem right now, though. And I'll give you an example. I'm sorry, Vichelle.
No, go ahead.
This is a great example, and I'll give it to you. A little girl walks in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know her. I meet her mom. This little girl's bullied, terribly bullied.
Okay.
She's very poor, very hungry. She comes in here asking for food. We feed her.
All right.
She doesn't want to go home because home is a bad situation.
Okay.
I meet her mom. I convince her siblings that also are in the same situation as her. Please come to this awesome thing we're doing. They come. Her mom comes. I do exactly what you just said, brother.
You did. But that's how you.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, sir, is people have this thing called ego and pride.
Right.
And they also have circumstances beyond their own control.
Right.
That doesn't allow them to, cool, I got a seed, but I have no soil, I have no water, I have no sunlight.
But you don't know the seed that you planted, though.
But it doesn't matter. My point is the circumstance that exists, the environment that exists for that person that we are planting seeds in isn't a reality, man. It's not real. It's not a fucking reality, because these boxes that these people live in they're unable, they don't have any kind of resources within them to build what you're talking about building, because they just don't have it. Those resources don't belong there. They're not there. They've never been there. They do belong there. They just never been there, so they're not there.
So, what's the solution?
What is the solution?
How do you change their pride? How do you change your living situation? How do you change all that?
We have to fix it from the system.
But how do you do that today? How do you do that?
I don't believe we have to fix from the system.
No, we do.
Yeah, no, I could care less about the system. I think we just keep it from the system.
Can you?
We have to pull away from the system that we're dependent on.
Yep.
We depend highly on the government to take care of all of our needs. And it's unfortunate.
But how does that make the situation better if they're getting social help, social assistance?
Social assistance doesn't necessarily help, and let me break it down, right? Let's take Hurricane Katrina, for instance, right? So the majority of people in Hurricane Katrina that got hurt were very poor people, and for lack of a better word, were black people, right? So we go all the way back to the 50s, right? In the 50s, the black man would have said, "Hey, family, let's go. There's a hurricane coming. Let's get the fuck out of here," right? But then we fast forward 50 years of social change, giving welfare and giving free housing and giving all those things, and not a step up and kicking the father out of the house. You're not allowed to be here if you're a working man. You can't be here. So you separated the father from the family. And so what happened was a whole group of poor white and poor black saying, "Where's our bus?" when they could have been taking care of themselves. So social assistance can only be something that works for a little while, because as a long term, like speaking even for my own family of 4 generations or 3 generations on welfare, they're never going to leave the trailer, dude. You know what I'm saying?
So they become dependent.
It's not because they don't want to or because of any reason other than they can't. The system's not built for them to get out of the fucking thing.
So then let's omit that.
We have to pull away from that system and build it from within. And I don't know how to do that. The only way I know
community farms
is community farms. We teach people how to grow food. We instill farms in these neighborhoods that are impoverished, because food is the answer to everything, brother. Food is the answer. People are starving and right outside of our doors right now.
But let's take this family that you're talking about. So let's omit the social service from their situation. Where does that leave them now?
Yeah, no, that's the tough part, right?
We can't pull the plug right now. Clearly, it's not something we can do.
Yeah,
like, that's not what I'm saying at all, and that's not even what I implied.
You gotta figure it out.
I don't know why you heard that, but
no. I'm just saying. What does Nathan do? What does De'Aaron do? What does Sam do? What does Sadie do? What does Vichelle do? What do we do as individuals? I know the big picture is change the system. I know that's the big picture.
We do what we can do, and
that's what I'm getting at.
The next person do what they can do, and then it trickles.
And those are the seeds I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But we do what we do at home first. Otherwise, we can't even consider doing anything outside
And that's what I'm
of
talking
that.
about.
Goes back to how we were saying about the branch system, where if every shade takes care of theirs, and then we can all come together. Basically, like you said, we take care of home first. That's what we're supposed to do. But I wanted to just shed some light to the original topic of spreading love.
Because I
So
think
what
we have
happened when
customers.
we did
Go ahead, Michelle.
you gonna start?
No, finish.
Yeah.
Hurry.
When we did the visual for the killings on the strip,
Hmm.
it was over 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
We basically put a notice out on Facebook for 2 days that we were going to do this visual, and it was so many people, and it was like, wow, overwhelming. So basically, it was a lot of different people speaking that were relatives and friends of some of the victims, and it was a very oh wow, I can't hardly describe it because it was so intense.
Powerful,
And
yeah.
it was
Yeah,
deep.
we had a visual too. It
So
was
what we
not
did,
that huge, though.
Yeah.
basically, I asked not to speak because I get emotional, and I just feel like some things is beyond words, for us
Absolutely.
consoling,
Yeah.
So when I got put on the spot to speak, it was like, okay, now what? So I, offered condolences, and I mentioned that Vegas is a cold city to me. We don't smile, we don't speak, we
It's a
don't
cold
talk.
city like LA.
It's very cold. I said,
That's where it's set up,
think
yeah.
about
Yeah.
the guy that did those killings, even though we know it was deeper than what we were exposed. But let's just erase that part and just
Okay.
say he's just a guy that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
had issues. What if somebody had smiled at him that day? What if somebody had
Right.
taken
That's what we were
a
talking about
moment,
this morning. I pray
So
for
what I
compassion
did,
for the
normally,
shooter's family too.
what I do is I have everybody agree to do a hashtag spread love.
Love
So
it.
what you do when you do your social media post, just put hashtag spread love, and let's make that viral, right? And spread love just means like a random act of kindness, just a
Yeah, I love
smile, So this particular day, by me being so overwhelmed with all these people, I said I have a pledge, and I promise you, I did not mean to say pledge because I did not have a pledge. I was like, oh Lord, what's the pledge? Okay, everybody, 1,000 people, hands up.
Oh no.
It's just that easy to
Raise
lead
your right
to.
hand. Off the top of my head, so I ended up writing it down, but this is it. I said, I pledge to spread love to my neighbor across the street, to the man at the 7-Eleven who does not look like me. I pledge to give a smile and lend a helping hand. I'll share my gifts and talents with my fellow man. And everybody repeated that, and it was so.
We opened up with that. That's cool.
And I made everybody hug.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
hug the person next to you
Aw.
and say spread love. And when you go
Nice.
home,
Did
I want
everybody do that?
Yes.
I
That's
love it.
cool.
But I want to
Yeah.
go back. I
Strangers
want
were hugging.
to kind of show illustrate how this is kind of all tied in, because I opened up with that I said we all have unique gifts and talents that we all need to share to build
Absolutely.
each other up. You
That's
said it
what
in your
made
poem.
me do that. That's what made me
You said it in your
remember that.
poem, and then you're saying, how do we fix it? And I'm saying the same
That's
thing.
how.
Hashtag spread love. It's
Use your
like,
gifts and talents that you have.
yes.
And together as community, we unite
I
and
love
we
it.
get the message out there.
So
That's how we solve
another
it.
thing that we talk about is like spreading love. Then it has to start with, like you said, home self-love. Like you looked up, you woke up and looked in the mirror and said, "All power to the people." We have to teach each other and even ourselves sometimes. 'Cause sometimes I wake up like, for real. Okay, now what? But I go to the mirror and I go, "Hey, beautiful, how are you today?
Yeah.
I love you." And I have never done that in my lifetime because I never really had to. I've always been uppy, bubbly, bubbly.
Sure.
When I came here and saw how cold they were, I let them change me. I shut down. I like my name is Vichelle, but my nickname is Shell. I went into a shell, basically, and I stopped producing. I stopped doing what I enjoy doing because I wasn't getting the reception I was expecting to get here. So I would go to Chicago like every.
Let me
other
stop you
month.
for a second. What do you mean by that? You weren't expecting
Reception?
to get the reception that you got.
Because
here.
when I would tell people what I
What were you
do and
expecting?
show them more of a reception,
More
to
warm?
receive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh really?
And when you say here,
Like
you mean like
said,
in Vegas?
weird was
Yeah.
beyond, the word for it. It
Right.
was like they treated me like not weird, but worse than weird. I'm trying to think of a better word for that, but
Right.
yeah.
But just
So it wasn't like I'm
wasn't
used to
very
a certain,
positive.
not at all. I'm
right.
used to the Chicago know me. The
Right.
people that I surround myself with, they know what I am, who I am, and what I do, and I get embraced. And so I would go to Chicago just to do that.
right.
Every
Get that
other
feeling
month.
back. Yeah.
But it got to the point where I couldn't afford to keep taking off days to go
Yes.
there and spending more than what I'm making. But anyways,
You should just come to Happy Earth.
They wouldn't
We
hear
weren't
that.
yet.
As soon as I saw them on Facebook. I came like the next day.
Right.
So, that's why I'm like, I had never had an outlet that, I've had like this in Vegas since I've been here. So
Right.
No,
I'm
thank
very
you.
grateful for them.
We're grateful for you.
We're grateful for
But going
you,
back to the
yeah.
bully thing,
Because you're
because this all
amazing.
ties in together. I really think so. I really, and I know I said it already, but gifts and talents that we have. I mean, Happy Earth. I think there's a bigger picture for Happy Earth that we don't see yet. I think what
see
you.
it,
I
brother.
see it.
No,
I
I
know
just
it
I
is.
just think it's.
You
I
need
mean,
to hang out here more. You'll see it.
I mean, I feel
we all
it.
know what it is.
I hear it, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that
She
the
agrees.
potential I think is exponential
Mhm.
beyond
Oh,
what it is that
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys set out to put out there. The fact that Vichelle saw you guys on Facebook and sensed that energy, and she came down here to check you guys out and kind of gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
That's why I think that this neighborhood
Could use that same
shows
energy.
us. You know
Use
what
the
I'm
same
saying?
energy to edify the community, to
Mhm.
edify the parents,
Yeah,
to
man.
edify the fathers, the mothers, the single parents, the kids, and I think that's where it starts. Just like
We agree,
somebody was
dude.
saying, edifying. Kind of it starts at home.
So we're working on
We
a
have
couple
to teach
projects
people
like
to
that.
love themselves again.
That's
Is basically
it, man. We
where I
gotta
was
teach
going.
people to
We gotta
unplug the
teach
damn
them to
TV.
love themselves.
We gotta teach people
so
to
they
unplug that TV.
can
Turn the TV.
love
Turn
each other.
That's how we fix it. I had to think about it. Here's your answer. Here's your answer.
That's what fixed me.
Here's your answer. You unplug the TV
Mhm.
across the United States.
And don't buy anything that has a commercial.
No, you don't even have to do that.
You know what's
That
really
comes
cool?
naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what's
don't
really
get to see
cool?
the commercial
Ophelia,
anymore.
Ophelia has not had a TV in I think like 10 or 15
Good
years.
for her, brother.
Yeah, and
You
she is
got a good
so
woman.
connected to the community
Yeah.
Weird,
without
right?
having to watch.
Weird.
And the first
it
time
does that because you have nothing to do.
when we first started
you have
dating,
nothing
I was
to
like,
do but go visit your
"What
community.
do we do?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Turn the TV
You've
on."
got nothing to do but go visit your community, and that's
No,
or
we got
hang out with your family. You
Well,
can,
we got to
let
know
me
each
invite
other.
my family over for dinner
We got to know
today.
each other at a more real level.
Yeah, have a better relationship
We
with your
weren't
spouse.
talking about shows. We weren't talking about the news.
Mhm.
We had a real rooted conversation, and her and I
Awesome.
we got connected at a more deeper level
That's
than we
great.
would otherwise if we were sitting in front of a TV or watching a
People are
movie.
missing out across
But I mean, just like
the country.
the environment that she sets, and just in her own home, is just so conducive to that connection, to that. Let's connect as people, not as technicians or operators of these gadgets.
You know what we stopped doing? One thing, and Samantha built this habit, and she goes, when people ask me what I do, people ask me, what do you do? They're asking about your job. Samantha goes, oh, I feed the homeless.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah. Say what you're passionate
Samantha
about.
told you that, or Sam told you that?
Sam, I'm sorry. I call her Samantha. The whole rest of the world calls her Sam. Sam told me, I feed the homeless,
Right.
or I do this, or I do that, like
Yeah.
what her passion was, and so I started emulating that too, and so it sparks
It throws people
starts
off.
a better conversation than I manage construction for AT&T.
Right.
That's
Good for
who gives a
you.
fuck
Yeah.
if you manage construction for
Right,
anything?
right.
No one's gonna care in 10 years.
Because at
What are
that
you giving
point,
to
too-
humanity?
and
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
thing,
What
too.
are you giving to yourself, to the
When
corporate world?
when people ask what do you do for a living, they're basically looking what kind of class you're in.
Mm-hmm.
What
That's
scale
what
are
it's
you
about.
on? Are you making
Well,
more
Well,
or
let's
less
switch
than
it
me?
up. Let's switch it up. So, what do you give to humanity?
Yeah,
What
we
do you
got to
give to
change the
humanity?
vernacular. What's your passion?
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Hey, we have a surprise guest. Hold on.
Oh, it's my son.
Elijah.
Hey, Eli, you're on speaker on the podcast.
Oh, awesome. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Elijah.
Hey,
You got
Elijah.
Michelle and Deanne and Samantha and me.
And Sam's here too.
Yeah. I'm here
I don't
too.
know how that's going to work. Yeah, we're getting ready to go wrap up here shortly and have our anniversary dinner.
Aw, oh, yeah.
Yeah, 21 years.
Yeah, just the 8 of us.
Yeah.
Really
All right.
intimate.
De'Aaron filmed, tell us about it. What was he filmed today?
We did some interviews today at Happy Earth. We did an interview with Sam and Nathan, first of all, telling us a little bit about how they got together and created Happy Earth. Did an interview with Sady. She told us a little bit about who she was and what she's doing at Happy Earth. And then just a kind of a promo reel for the big event coming up in March, the Mardi Gras event at the New Orleans Square.
Yeah, cool.
Dope.
Yay.
That's what up.
How you feeling, bud? Oh, sorry, I'm not going to put you on
yeah,
blast.
you don't put him on blast.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Just say, Eli, this is a podcast. You want to say something awesome? We were just talking about how to fix.
Yeah, how do you fix the community from within? That's what we're talking about, so that there's no more shootings.
So there's no more shootings specifically.
I think it starts with individuals helping other individuals in their lives, and collectively it makes a big impact. Like one person can't make the change in the community. It has to be everybody trying to help certain people at once, making small, kind acts in your daily life can change the world, change your community.
Elijah, you are the winner. You were not here for the entire conversation and everything we talked about.
Yeah, he kind of summarized it, didn't
You
he?
did a good summation of our podcast.
It's my
We'll be
boy.
sending you your check for $1 million here soon.
Don't hey, it's post dated. It's post dated for a long time.
Yeah,
now.
for like 20 years from now.
What'd you say, Eli?
Just upload that last part of the podcast. I'm good to go.
You call it a day.
Did your part. Thank you, love.
Thanks, son.
Of
Well,
course.
That
Yeah,
was-
I love you guys.
we love you.
I love you too,
That was
honey.
really good.
I'll
Peace,
call you
Elijah.
back in a minute,
Yeah.
okay?
Alrighty.
I want to cut it off.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
guess no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
never mind. I'm gonna
thank
Hey,
go.
thank you for joining us at the Happy Earth Market podcast.
You can
Thanks
find
for listening,
De'Aaron
everybody.
at.
We love you.
You can find me at the New Orleans Square,
Mhm.
upstairs above Happy Earth Market, and IDFX.media.
Nice.
Sweet.
And where can we find All Shades United at?
All Shades United everywhere. AllShadesUnited.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah. This has been a little impromptu podcast. You were listening to Happy Earth Market podcast.
Woo.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.